What is the craziest thing your horniness made you do? This was only 2 years ago. I was newly 18, which makes it worse. I had been vigorously sexting and video chatting this guy for a few months, and he had mentioned he lives in Pennsylvania. My grandparents live in Pennsylvania and my parents and siblings were going to visit for a few weeks in the summer. I didn't want to go originally, but I tagged along on a 16-hour car ride there, and back, just for a chance to get with this guy. I then spent $200 on bus tickets and a hotel since he lived a few hours from my grandparents, and I devised an intricate lie to tell my parents. I told them I had an old friend who moved to Pennsylvania and who I wanted to visit, and I even went as far as to have one of my real friends lie to my parents for me and pretend I was visiting them. I spent 6 hours on and waiting for the bus and a total of 32 hours in the car, as well as $200 just to get laid. That guy is now my boyfriend and our 2-year anniversary is coming up. I put a kitchen knife handle up the back door to hit my prostate while I masturbated in the basement. I was 14. Now this basement has a closet-sized bathroom in it. A room just big enough for a toilet and a drain pipe from upstairs. When I got down there I was alone. When I finished and turned around the door was closed. Someone was in there. The washer was going so I didn't hear anyone walk by. I can't imagine someone in my family walking by seeing a naked teen with a knife blade tail jerking it against the washing machine. Nobody ever said a word. I was maybe 11 or 12 and I'd recently discovered masturbation, yet, I didn't have much concept of sex. So instead of thinking dirty thoughts, I'd masturbate while reading the back of my mom's shampoo bottles. A little bit later, this turned into masturbating to the instructional diagrams of a tampon box. Oh man, was I excited once I discovered porn. As a horny teenager I lied to my mom about how much I loved eating hot dogs so she'd buy them frequently and not question their disappearance. They were my first and least exciting dildos, but damn, they did the trick. On numerous occasions, for various reasons, I have used an electric toothbrush as both a vibrator and a dildo. The first time I tried it was also with my first partner, and to be perfectly candid, I used the electric toothbrush because I had heard of vibrators but never used one, or seen one in person, and I was too ashamed to bring up the use of sex toys with my partner. Somehow, buying sex toys for sexual activities was shameful and weird, but telling my partner to put new batteries in his Sonicare and brush my G-spot on high wasn't. Close second was the time I was so broke and I had thrown out my sex toys instead of mail them to my new address, so I sculpted a dildo out of clay and baked it in the oven before fucking myself with it. I didn't have condoms or dams or anything either, so I used food-grade plastic wrap and coconut oil. The shaft was crooked and I made myself bleed. Shocked I didn't get a UTI. You're welcome. When I was just past puberty I decided to make a fleshlight out of my foam Nerf football. The outside was soft and squishy, but lo and behold the inside was rough. So when I tried it out it really hurt. I tried pouring water into it to make it softer but it was cold as fuck, so I just threw it away. I spent some time living with my in-laws. It's whatever, life can suck sometimes. Anyhow, before a shower, I jacked it into one of my mother-in-law's sweaters. Realized what I had just done. So I took a shower, and then threw it away in the bathroom trash, put the bathroom trash in the kitchen trash. My mother-in-law was in the kitchen. I said, "I'll take these out." And took it all the way out to the curb. It was so obvious I was up to something, but I'm hoping she just thought I shit my pants. Not sure if this counts as something horniness made me do, so much as it is what horniness made me allow to happen. I was 16, dating a girl way out of my league. It was the end of our third date. It was like 11 p.m. on a Saturday and her mom picked us up from the movie theater, and we had been making out all night. When we sit down in the back seat, she makes small talk with her mom for a minute, then claims to be sleepy, and lays her head on my lap. She proceeds to unzip my pants and suck my dick the entire car ride back, forcing me to make small talk with her mom. I came harder than ever before 2 minutes before we arrived at her house. I was terrified the entire time, but it was an experience I will never forget. To order not one, not two but 3 fleshlights on Amazon. Then having them show up at my house, wonder why I thought I needed 3 of them. Drive 10 hours for 2 hours of booty call, then 10 hours back. Tried masturbating with a turkey baster. Would not recommend it. Jerk off daily in the bathroom at work. Was playing Kotar 2, felt horny and stripped handmaiden down to her undergarments while in the Ebonhawk, and you know what happened next. 14-year-old me was weird. Edit, am relieved I wasn't the only one. Had been away from visiting family for weeks. During the 8-hour drive home I found a sex shop, bought a dildo, pulled off the highway onto a deserted side road and fucked myself with it in my car. In middle school I masturbated in the back seat of my grandparents' car while they were driving. Puberty man, shit's wild. Sat on an active washing machine. The edge lined up perfectly. I stuck ice cubes up my ass in the shower once. Cut a hole in the mattress and fuck it. Every goddamn soldier/marine in here knows what happens in the porta shitters. Don't even try to act like it doesn't happen. Own it. I've seen dudes just straight up get in the porta john with their laptops. Talk about sweaty dudes when they come out of that motherfucker in desert heat. Looking like they did 500 burpees but only one arm is flexing. Not me, but before internet porn, I guess my husband, when he was a teenager, racked up a $1,000 cable bill ordering porn. His father was not pleased. Back in the 70s, out of college on summer break, my girlfriend and I were traveling with my parents, all of us sharing a motel room, which was awkward as my GF slept in the same bed as my mom and I had to share the bed with my dad. At one point the parents left me and GF in the motel room alone while they went to get something to eat. The door hadn't closed but GF and I immediately were on each other like fucking rabbits. By the time my parents got back, GF and I were sitting on the bed watching TV looking oh so innocent. Pretty sure my dad suspected something had gone down, though. Ex-girlfriend gave me a handjob while driving a windy mountain highway at 60 miles per hour. I have never been so terrified and turned on at the same time. Edit, just to clarify, she was driving. 16 and horny. We'd only been dating a few days. Walking with GF when we began making out. It was night and there was this little path and we just starting taking each other's clothes off. We were next to a church and about 20 feet from the street. I said, hey, don't you think this is a little too public? She said, no one will see us. That's all I needed to hear. I had just managed to take her bra off when another couple walked up and saw us. She grabbed her clothes and we just ran away laughing. Then we went to our high school grounds and picked up where we left off. That girl was such a bad influence. Back before the internet, I'd lay out in a field with my pants off and wait for a cloud shaped like a tit to float by. Kids nowadays don't know how confusing it is when a boob cloud transforms into a dick cloud mid-stroke. I made a makeshift fleshlight out of a Solo cup, cling film, and kitchen towels, and used moisturizer as lube. I then taped it to a fan, in the center, so it would spin. It kinda worked, didn't get me off though. Edit, I should have clarified, it didn't get me off because the entire thing exploded after a few minutes. Rode my bike to my girlfriend's house 15 miles on flat tires with no seat along a 2-lane highway when I was 15. Hormones are a bitch. Worth it? Edit, some notes. 1. I obviously hadn't ridden my bike in a long time and the tires were shot. I filled them up before I left, but they immediately went flat. 2. Would running be easier? Maybe. But I was young and stupid. 3. Actually, yes, we did shower first. It was part of the whole experience, degree. 4. I am not John or Tom but I'm glad to hear I wasn't the only crazy horny kid to ride his sorry-ass bike miles out of the way for some good times. 5. Doesn't matter, had sex. Edit 2. Electric Boogaloo, I forgot 6, we're married now. So it's actually kind of wholesome, right? Right? Gun turret in the middle of a convoy. 249 in one hand, throbbing PP in the other. In my early teens, before fleshlight was a thing, I crafted my own out of a Pringles can padded with paper towels on the inside and a condom stretched through. It was a glorious jack-off contraption. Edit, /diagram for the curious / https://i.imager.com/gazv11l.jpg, https://i.imager.com/gazv11l.jpg, I even had to tape the edges of the hole punched in the back because if the inner condom ever broke while in the heat of the moment, I'd be plunging into dry paper towels without notice, and that wasn't desirable. Funny to think about now. I made a decent amount of love to a cardboard chip sleeve. Edit 2, damn it. Thanks for the gold. To those being pedantic about the diagram, I do remember having to pad the rim so it was more cushiony and built up, and then duct taping the condom over that lip. Didn't realize any of you filthy animals may want to make one. Much love to all you kooks. Wanted to know what it was like to have something in my butt while jerking it. Used a Sharpie. It was magical. Had a permanent effect on my life. Had to have my girlfriend there and then. Middle of the night walk on a gravel path. Thing is, she was hornier than I was and INST the craziest most incredible sex. Gravel hurts. Had lesbian sex. In my, empty, high school mosque. In Iran. 16-year-old me didn't care about the death penalty if we got caught. Got bored of waiting in the long line of the local taco mayo, so I cranked one out in the drive-thru. Noticed camera after I was done, lol. Called my grandma and asked to borrow her car so I could bring my sick friend notes from school. My parents gone and I had no car. She straight up drove the car to my house and, bless her heart, agreed to wait there so I could hang out with my friend for a few minutes. Used the car to pick up my boyfriend so we could bang in the back seat, while parked in a church parking lot. Not mine but a friend's. He came home early after school and his parents weren't home and it was that kind of day, so he proceeded to beat the ever-living hell out of his meat in his dad's office, completely naked, lotion and all. About 5 minutes later his parents came home so he hid in his dad's closet, which mind you is still in the office. He then spent the next hour standing in the closet while his dad took a business call, looking through the side crack of the closet, shaking like crazy. He slipped up to his room while his dad went to the kitchen and got away physically unscathed, but mentally I'm not so sure. I have this username for a reason. I used to get punished from my iPod Touch as a teenager. One time I was punished for months and I couldn't take it anymore. I went on my Nintendo DS, doesn't play videos, and went to the shittiest picture porn website. I think it was called JPEG World. It took me like 15 minutes to download half of a tit, but it did the trick for me, lol. Another time I was punished, I was so insanely horny that I masturbated to a documentary about bugs. They showed a close-up of praying mantis sex. That's probably the most embarrassing thing I have ever done. Edit, well this blew up, I love reading your replies and PMS. This is hilarious and also embarrassing AF. LOL. Edit 2, I just remembered I would also, badly, draw crude sexual drawings to masturbate to when I had nothing else. Wow, I'm a fucked up individual, lol. During sex in the shower with my girlfriend, I kept feeling this slight sting every time I thrust into her, but since I was so horny at the time I didn't bother with it. Well, it led to me ripping the skin below my head that connects the foreskin to the bottom of the head. Edit, I tried to fix it by having my girlfriend bring me a heated spoon to cauterize the bleeding end before her mom would show up, which was in 5 minutes. It did not work. I finally had her bring me a piece of string and tied it to the base of the hanging skin still attached to my penis. I made it in time. The next morning I woke up and it looked like nothing had ever happened. My frenulum had fallen clean off. I am much happier with the way it looks now. I managed to successfully have sex with my HSGF after school while she was on the phone with her mom. We were getting down towards sexy time when her mom called with a bunch of questions about something. So she talked on the phone to her mom for like 15 or 20 minutes, and after about 5 minutes I had so much blue balls going that I just went for it and she didn't bat an eye. Blew my high school boyfriend on the hood of a car in front of a bunch of people. I only vaguely remember it B/C. I was pretty drunk. Didn't drink for a very long time after that. Drive 400 plus miles, midwinter, middle of dark, from Fairbanks to Anchorage in a 76 Pinto, for a sure thing. Edit, I must mention my roommate. He was my best friend from high school, Palmer, also in Alaska, while I made this trip once. He did essentially the same trip every weekend in a 68 Plymouth Valiant. He would go back to Palmer every weekend. 330 miles. He would run out of last class Friday afternoon and return early Monday morning. I would often see him out the window of my first Monday class, pulling into the parking lot and running to his first class. I took Adderall for the first time forever ago. I proceeded to jerk off for 12 hours to the most disgusting types of porn. God damn it. My top post is about jerking my limp dick for 12 hours. When I was 13 I was staying with my grandparents for a week in South Carolina during my summer break. Both my grandparents were still working, so my day usually involved doing chores around the house and finding ways to beat my meat. My grandma, being quite the amateur artist back in the day, was finishing a large painting of a milkmaid on a stool for my mom's birthday. Now this milkmaid had scandalously large boobies, so of course my hormone-addled 13-year-old brain decided to use it as whacking fuel. I hooped my dick to that painting at least 4 times per day for close to 5 straight days. Edit, holy shit, my highest upvoted comment and first gold. Oh boy. I was probably 12 or 13. I had just discovered beating my meat. Was on a family trip with mom, dad, and younger brother. It was a very long car ride, and being 13 years old, I was thinking about jacking off every minute of every day. So I started tugging on my Johnson in the back of the van, while my parents drove the car. I was under a sleeping bag/blanket, but I guarantee my dad knew what the fuck was up. Fucking shit, I am so fucking embarrassed about that memory. When I was done I even said out loud, this was like probably 20 minutes after finishing, can we stop somewhere soon? My dick needs moisture. I have no clue what possessed me to utter those words. Fucking kill me now. I've got one for this. I was driving to university around 18, which was a 4-hour drive from home with bumfuck nowhere in between. So I'm sitting in the driver's seat when I had the thought that I believe every man has at least once in his lifetime: I've never come at 90 mph. So, I shimmy my shorts off and begin the deed for a glorious 12 seconds. On eruption, the most powerful euphoria began coursing through my veins. Apparently, it was slightly too powerful and I immediately drove into a ditch while nearly flipping my car. So, let me paint a picture. A short white boy sitting in his near-totaled '08 Nissan Versa, covered head to toe in his own shame. As I start to holster my cock and assess the damage, I notice a large black man on his way to church tapping on my window, clearly to see if I was alright. We make eye contact, at which point he notices I am soaked in my own cum. This poor man immediately turns around and walks back to his car. He shakes his head as he returns to his wife, driving away without a word. If you're out there, mystery man, I'm so sorry. When I was 13, my mom and I went to a lot of Ross's for clothes shopping. For some apparent reason, I had this really sudden, but strong urge to christen my staff. I went to the bathroom, but it said it needed a code to get in. I was too horny to look for an employee, so I did what any logical super horny 13-year-old boy would do. I went inside one of those circular clothes rack that you'll find at most Ross's and just beat my junior like it was possessed by the devil. It was nice and cozy in there until a lady came by and pulled back the wall of clothes and screamed bloody murder at my Gollum-looking face and stature, furiously beating my dick like it slandered against God. Used to get up early as a teen, talking like 3 a.m., and run down to the local park, get completely naked, climb a tree and jerk off. It just felt good to be part of nature in that way, without judgment. Was backpacking in Cairns, Australia with my GF at the time. Went on a coach tour to some mountain or other. Coach was half filled with old people, all at the front of the bus to listen to the tour. She had already checked that the bus had mirrored windows. We went to the back row and she gave me head as we traveled through the center of Cairns. When we got off the bus we realized that the windows were actually not remotely mirrored and that the horrified face of a driver I'd seen looking right at us at a junction was in fact most likely because she had seen my ex-GF slurping on my dong. Sex in front of the crowd at a sex club. Maybe 50 people, all strangers. Got applause, so I call it a win. Waded into the ocean and fingered a girl while she gave me a hand job. I was once so horny masturbating couldn't solve it, so I listened to the soundtrack from the original Sims game for 2 hours to calm myself down. Edit, I'm chuffed this blew up LMAO. Hire prostitutes in GTA V and masturbate to the noise and movement in the car. If they left before I finished I just went and hired another one. It was pretty bad but was made worse when I had to kill them whilst I was covered in spunk. Made me hunt down one of my old external HDDs. Surely the video I wanted to nut it to had to be on there. It wasn't. I had a flash in my mind that it might be on an old laptop. I hunted down that old laptop. But crap, no PSU. Dug through 2 boxes of cables and found it. Booted the laptop up. There was some sort of CMOS failure. Laptop still booted up fine. It's just the clock didn't work. Dug through ambiguously named folders on the desktop, found it pretty quickly. Migrated that sucker to external HDD. I suppose I could have just nut in place there, but I was dedicated to making sure this didn't happen again. Hooked up external HDD to my current laptop and viewed said video. Nut like no tomorrow. Was insanely satisfying given how hard I had to work for it. This was just a few weeks ago. Reading ops replies makes me very uncomfortable thinking face. Years ago, hanging out with a coworker playing fuck, marry, kill with people at work. She tells me her choice for fuck, I tell her mine. She's surprised as he's not particularly handsome but just my type. She says I have his phone number. I had never seen him outside of work and barely talked to him at work. Then I texted him at 1 a.m. one night and asked if he wanted to have sex with me. He was very surprised but not unwilling. He kept laughing and saying, "Where the hell did this come from?" I'd imagine that's probably some guy's fantasy about a coworker, that without talking to her or making any effort she'll one day just ask if he wants to fuck. I'm here to say that it could happen and it has happened. Been waiting for this one. Be me. B12. Be insanely horny on a road trip. I hadn't yet realized I could just use my hand and crank them out, so I was still rubbing my prepubescent cock on everything that made it feel good. We stop at a McDonald's and I head to the bathroom. I see the handrail in the handicap stall and think. Yep. That'll do. I proceeded to rub my dick on that rail until I splattered cum all down the wall. Not my proudest FAP. My girlfriend at the time was really curious about anal and I was like, hell yeah. Let's try it. But we were unprepared and the only thing we had that was anywhere close to lube was hand sanitizer, and that was not a happy time for her. Added a random pretty girl on Facebook, should have deleted her but was too horny. We video called on WeChat full nude. She ended up taking my Facebook profile info along with all my friends and family. Threatened to send out nudes unless I pay a hefty amount. Never responded back to her and she never kept her promise of sending the pics. TLDR, got caught in a sextortion. As a teen, I had my computer taken away for a week. My phone didn't have good internet access and I had the imagination of a goldfish, so I needed another way to do the deed. So I went on Skyrim and grinded to 100 pickpockets so I could take people's clothes off. Easily the most dedicated I've ever been to a FAP. Edit, have you guys never heard of consoles before? It was for my PS3. Edit 2, mentioned it in a later reply, but my router was on the opposite side of the house from my console and had a very limited radius. So the browser wasn't really an option. Smiled at a girl once. She smiled back. Edit, you/funky gold for this? Thanks man. Not just horniness, I was in love at the time, but I drove 4 hours to see a girl I had been talking to for a while just to get laid. 4 hours. I left at nearly midnight. Don't care. Had sex. Jerked off beneath a pair of big, blouse white sweatpants while lying across a bench on the Liberty Square riverboat at Walt Disney World when I was like, 12. My GF and I had sex about 2 to 3 times a day for a week or so. We eventually wore our bodies out to the point where I couldn't even get hard and she couldn't get wet. Edit, rip my notifications. I was 12, we didn't have internet back then. There's this fashion channel on TV that would show tits during midnight. I was on the top bunk and my grandmother was sleeping on the bottom bunk. So I had to sneakily jerk off and this happened for like months. I was young and stupid and decided to use a candle as a dildo. My body heat sort of made it bend a bit and I had no clue what to do, so I just put it back and hoped no one would notice. And my mom was definitely a decorative blank sort of person who had towels and candles and pillows that were not meant to be used. Dildo candle was on our dining room table for a long time. Jacked off while driving. Alone in my car. Make an AskReddit thread about sex and then jerk off to it. Oh, sorry, that's up. My bad. I misunderstood. Woke my wife up at 6 a.m. and asked, can I just quickly use your vagina to masturbate with? Bonus, IT worked. Stuff envelopes for the NDP Party of Canada. No alt cuz fuck it. In 8th grade I booby banged my first girlfriend behind a church. Then she told all her friends when we broke up. Naturally, the whole school found out. I was a legend to some, mocked by others. Such is life // __/. My wife walked into the bathroom this morning while I was fapping on the toilet. She got into the shower right in front of me and I really wanted to finish. I was watching porn. She is pregnant and okay with it, so I admit to her what I was doing since I try to be discreet about it, even though she's told me countless times she is okay with it. So I proceed to finish right there while watching her, and porn at the same time on my phone screen. Bonus asking her to show off for me a bit right as I was finishing. 10/10. Would wife her again. I was at school and went to go see the nurse because I was sick. Nurse has me sit on one of the beds and says she has to go but she will be right back. Nurse was kind of hot, so my 14-year-old self is horny and decides to jerk off. The deed is done, I wash my hands and sit back down. Nurse arrives moments later. She checks me out and gives me some Tylenol or something and I go on my merry way. As I'm leaving I hear her say, "You're being so quiet, Jessica, I almost forgot you were here." My heart sinks. Jessica is sitting in the corner of a windowed room next to me, with full view of what just happened. But I had to spend the rest of my high school career not knowing which Jessica this was, because it was dark in that room and I never got a good look at her. A few things. Masturbating in a car out in the desert while my boyfriend was writing a fanfic next to me. Fucking said boyfriend many times in the same desert. And, like a poster above, stripping naked in front of his best friend and going to another room to have at it. So, there was this coconut. Barebacked a sketchy looking chick. Thank Lord baby G-bus I didn't take something home with me. She was kinda hot in a trailer trash kinda way. Impulse buy the largest, life-size, $300 silicone horse dildo cast from an actual horse as large or larger than a draft horse. When I get too Adderall horny, I'll spend 2 to 3 hours warming up, struggling the last 15 minutes trying to get it in my ass, then it pops in and is way too much, but I've been edging for hours and I ejaculate hard. Then I shamefully have to push, at the same time pulling on the dildo, to get it out. I then remind myself never again. I've only gotten it in 2 times, but I have to be extremely horny to even consider. I ended up getting a blowjob from a guy off Craigslist. I jerked off 21 times over about 6 hours. After the 21st time, I felt this unspeakable immeasurable amount of pain and then blood came out instead of semen. Never again. Drove an hour and a half to get laid, she was Brazilian, definitely worth it. How did you not get infections regularly? That's one way to have sex with a dead animal. That was a masterpiece. So glad I kept scrolling. Rip Nerf ball, sad face, mom saves the day. She must have been hoping you'd marry that girl or something. They record those. That seems like a great way to build up a solid blackmail database. I need to know the fallout from this harrowing experience. Edit, thank you to everyone for my cake day wishes. I had to stop responding, but I appreciate everyone. Especially the ones that for downvotes. I'm sorry, I don't know why. He 100% listened to it all because it was hilarious. You were so desperate for wank material that you became an artist. This is the real teenage experience. The music in Mario Paint will forever bring back nostalgic memories. It becomes even more desperate when you know what the original picture, http://wp-content/wp-hyphen-content/upload/2014/08/mario-paint-15.png, looked like. Oh geez, I hope they just think I shit my pants. Is not a kind of trouble I ever want to be in. My friend has decorative glass fruit in her house, and now it will always remind me of you. Risky dick of the day right there. Reminds me of my friend. She would use her younger brother's toy lightsaber, one of those extendable light-up ones. Now I believe the internet meme quote, anything is a dildo if you're brave enough. Mom definitely knew and was uncomfortable the whole time. Did she swallow, or did you just blew your load all over mom's car? One for each dick. One for the bedroom, one for the car, and one for your homie so he doesn't feel left out. Jesus. I thought driving 1 hour was bad. Bro, I know someone who drove 32 hours for a booty call. Edit, that's 32-hour one way. He drove back like the next day too. Girlfriend did something this 7 days a week. She would drive 3 hours to me and 3 hours back after like 2 hours of sex. I tried it with a candle. I freaked out when my cooch was green after. Never again. Tried a hairbrush handle and that sucked. After those 2 attempts I just stuck to rubbing my clit like the girls did in porn. That did the trick. I haven't changed my technique since. I have several questions. Had you just watched Don't Breathe? For some reason, for a moment I thought you're a guy and I couldn't imagine how, then it sparked for me, I'm not the brightest star on the sky. Username checks out. Now that's a wank I haven't heard in years. Wow, I had forgotten about that wank, but you reminded me. I did the same thing except it was Bastilla in Cote 1. Personally 12 yo me, before I knew how to properly masturbate or even exactly how sex worked, would play Cote 1 and go to Tatoin where the dubaks were and wait for them to go clomping around and vibrating the controller. Every now and then when I'm playing it now I'll go there and put my controller on my bag and waggle my eyebrows at my fiancé until he rolls his eyes and giggles. Oh God. Those dubaks were my first sex toys. I'm not sure how to feel about that. Handmaiden. But visas. We've all been there. By some reason I imagine someone driving in the middle of nowhere and just there next to the highway there's a 24/7 sex shop. Edit, not from USABTW, that's why I've said this. Our family let a middle school girl whose mom lived in the homeless shelter stay with us for a while. A lot of our stuff disappeared and then she did one night. We found all our electric toothbrushes in the shower. Honestly, that's kinda smart as far as that stuff goes. They'll melt, so there's zero risk of anything getting stuck. Plus if it hurts, you're already icing the wound. Did you have the ice cubes ready or did you have to fill the tray and wait a few hours? That's not a mattress, that's my wife. Semper FAP Marine. I was in the Corps in the days before the net and I had a buddy come into our room all excited with a big Ziploc bag. We asked what the fuck, so he runs back to his room and came back with a porno mag safely zipped in the bag and tells us, now I can take it in the shower. It's a goddamn rite of passage to simultaneously shit, beat your meat, and smoke in a 1000-degree, nigh overflowing portusiter while wearing full kit. They think it's the technology or training that makes us the deadliest fighting force. Fuck no. The moment a man successfully achieves orgasm under those conditions, he can face any enemy, defeat any demon, and laugh while he does it. He rests comfortably in the knowledge that he has conquered death. Tried going from memory, midday, mid-July, door facing the sun, fully dressed. I came out of there looking like I'd just finished swim qual, 6 pounds lighter, and very close to heat stroke, but also successful. Edit, my highest rated comment is about rubbing one out in the oppressive heat of a midday cooked portushitter in Afghanistan. Look at me now, ma. At boot camp we had like 5 stalls for the whole 50-some person platoon to use and of course everyone whacked off in them whenever we had more than a couple minutes in the bay. I remember going into a stall to do the deed myself once. I sat down and looked at the ground to my left, saw the shadow of a dude whacking it. Looked to my right, saw the shadow of another dude whacking it, then closed my eyes and thought alright, let's just do this. Edit, directions. When I was 14 we had just gotten satellite TV. I spent $600 in 2 months. My parents were pretty pissed. I had a roommate in college do this, hundreds of dollars on pay-per-view porn. He even ordered some of the same movies multiple times. Dude, we have broadband and porn is free. Asterisk pretty sure my dad suspected something had gone down, though. Asterisk. 'Cause the hotel room smelled like ass, snatch and cock and balls. So, she can drive stick? Edit. Well it's official guys, my highest upvoted comment on Reddit is a handjob joke. Who was driving? I was driving through Dallas a few years ago, taking my, then, new wife to our honeymoon destination. I joked about how far the drive had been and said something about needing roadhead. Trying to merge with Dallas freeway traffic at ever-increasing speed while blowing a load into your wife's mouth was at the same time fantastic and extremely terrifying. I need a bad influence. It's a cumulus. I am gonna cumulus. Were you born before TV, heck before magazines? This sounds like some Amish porn shit. Just fucking draw some titties, it ain't that hard. Imagining you standing in front of that fan with it blowing has me rolling. I then taped it to a fan, in the center, so it would spin. I'm loving the idea of it not being in the center and how that would work. First prize in the science fair though. I can't stop laughing. The determination, the ingenuity. What a shame, putting in all that effort. Feel so bad man. No seed. Guess that helped things along a bit too. How did the people in the trick at Dick Height feel about this? I need to reload.
Thank you for watching. We publish amazing Reddit stories every day. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe to keep the dog smiling.